Peace, everybody. Peace Wednesday. How you guys doing? Okay, so to start off the show, I do wanted to quickly play some of this stuff from this dude called Beyond the Quran. This individual was a Quran alone Muslim, and he went from being a Quran alone Muslim to being a Christian now, I think. And then he's making videos like Quran alone Islam is ridiculous, no hadith. So it kind of speaks on his character and the way that he approaches matters. But I did invite this individual, which I think his name was the British Muslim at one point, to what is it? To a debate. But just like how the other people like to talk about us, they don't find the value of debating. So I asked him, would you like a debate? And obviously there's a lot of things that people replied, but he said something in regards to, where is it? He goes, no, I've said in videos before that I'm not a fan of debates. I think they are very easily become ego-driven, and most people aren't willing to concede a point of proven wrong. But with that said, I'd love to ask you some questions to better understand why you believe what you do. So the concept for debates is not about convincing you. I'm not here to convince you. It's you are presenting material to the world that is in line of what you think is the truth. So you are presenting reality in what you perceive as reality, and I'm also presenting what I perceive as reality. The reality doesn't change based on your words or my words. The reason why people have debates is not to convince you, it's to show everybody else on who is the one closer to the truth, based on rationale, based on logic, and based on the material that is being discussed. So the person who is making inconsistent remarks, or actually not being able to master subject, to show that they're not a master in the subject matter, at that point that person is taken as regardless, like he is inconsistent, he is wrong, and therefore people don't listen to you anymore. So that's why people approach these matters in debates or a discussion or a theological conversation, is just so that, not here to convince you, but for your audience and for the people who are tuning in to see that if what you're saying is truth or not. Because here we're talking about people's salvations. Here you are attacking my religion. So in that sense, it is actually a duty upon you to stand on the ground and to prove that you know what you're talking about. Because we're going to play a few things that you said in the video, which shows that you actually didn't understand what the Quran was saying, nor have you even mastered certain things that it comes to when it becomes somebody's becoming a submitter. But you did reply, and I replied to you, and I said to you, and you see, everyone is saying that I'm a person who's respectful. I'm not a person here to have an ego. No, it's here to talk about the material and to talk about what you presented. I told you exactly what I said right now. The reason why people have debates is not to convince each other, because the chances are low. Rather, it is to show the evidence where the other side is there to attack or defend the position that they're holding, for the viewers to see who is more consistent and honest in their topic. It's not about ego. It's about delving into the topic matter. Regardless, if you want to have a discussion, I'm more than happy to do so. You are producing material against my religion. It would make sense for you to be open to a debate or a dialogue. And then you go, I understand, but that's something I have no interest in right now. So why are you making material about something that you won't sit there and actually have a discussion about? It just makes no sense. Peace, Asli. Peace, everybody. Oh man, peace, meow, Adam, La Muslamana, peace, Hilal, Rihan, Ahmed, say Alhamdulillah, Tamarian, Shahram, Asil, all you people. Peace, everybody in the chat. Let me just play some of this dude. I did I think I replied to him again. I didn't, but yeah, so that's where the reply was. I'm not here to debate more. Okay, but then, so your points are to me rendered useless, which your points are wrong. Obviously it's not about convincing each other, because if you were convinced, God's words would have convinced you. Who am I to try to convince you when God clearly did not allow you to see what the Quran is saying? So I do want to play some stats, just the beginning.
It's ridiculous, almost as ridiculous.
So the person who believed in it for 7 years now is turning around saying that this is ridiculous, right?
Quran-only Islam is ridiculous, almost as ridiculous as Orthodox Islam, right? Almost, but not quite there. Now, I used to be a Muslim, and for a while of that, I was a Quran-only Muslim, and this was mainly because being an Islamic convert, I could not get behind and accept Hadith showing Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, killing hundreds of people, marrying young children and doing stuff to them, to being this immoral character. It's not something I could morally follow and even logically follow, as following this religion of peace.
So you make the religion of peace sign, which is just a rhetoric that the Christians try to say, or the Christians and the other individuals that are attacking the religion like to preach. You keep saying the religion of peace in those quotation marks, saying that it's not a peaceful religion, but yet the Quran itself never calls it the religion of peace. For you to stand in your ground, sometimes violence is required. Violence is necessary, especially when people are going to be violent against you. So right now, you are the ones who are taking shots at me, in the way that you're taking shots at me and what I believe in my Lord and the book that I follow, saying that it's ridiculous and we're just as bad as orthodox, yet you believing that God has sent a man to die for your sins is actually completely normal in what you're saying. But unfortunately, I'm going to attack you the same way you're attacking me, by showing how inconsistent and illogical you are. So if anyone's going to call anybody ridiculous, it's the person that says that God required to send a human God that has no godly attributes, nor godly or divine nature that is present, that is proven, for you to go sit there and now worship him as God. And then you tell me that this God died for 3 days and then came back, because God dies. You're calling me ridiculous. But let's go.
So why is it ridiculous? Well, it just doesn't make sense from a logical perspective, right?
Please don't tell me about logic.
Now, if you don't know, Quran only or Quran centric Muslims are Muslims who only follow the Quran. They reject any and all hadith, tasfir, etc.
Tasfir. We reject tasfir as well, yes. We reject the deportation of people.
etc. All they follow is the Quran and their understanding of the Quran, right? Now, as you can probably tell by the direction this explanation of Quran-only Muslims is going, they are incredibly subjective with their understanding of Islam and the Quran.
That's incredibly a bad straw man, because it's not about the subjective nature of what people present makes it reality. People are free to interpret what they want. There's a lot of subjective takes on what people say about Jesus in the gospel. It does not mean that that's what the actual position represents. The representation of what Islam is to submit to God and what God wrote in his books. The way that people understand the material has got nothing to do with what submission truly is. So you're going to say that this is ridiculous because people are using their intellect and their reason and their ability to try to understand the text that's in front of you. Even if I give you any book in the world and it has 600 pages and vast subject material, people will always understand it differently. This is normal human being experience. The difference between us and the traditional Sunnis and the Shias is we do not adhere to a cult. So when people are coming up with differences in a cult, they just adhere to what the guy on top of them is saying. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Just like how you in Christianity, when you have an issue in certain sects of Christianity, it depends on what the church fathers said. It does not matter what the gospel is saying. It does not matter what the preachers say in the books of God, but rather it depends on what the church fathers and the tradition says, because to them is whatever they're saying, that's inspiration, the saints and the church fathers. So you're saying that it's subjective for us to use our brain. It isn't. If somebody comes up with something that's ridiculous, the Arabic itself and the subject matter and the verses, they dispel those people. But just like you can just keep going with your arrogance and the way that you perceive things, which is subjective, and we're not here to change you. We're just simply here to tell you what the book says.
Because their only source for information is themselves. When it comes to interpretation, they can only really follow themselves and other Quran-only Muslims, unless they have a shared perspective with a regular Orthodox Muslim. Then they'll take their research and perspective, because there's no conflict there, right?
What you just said there is a no argument. That's in everything, even when science is. The truth is the truth. The way that people deduce the truth is good. And if there's people supporting the truth, I don't care if a Christian said it. But I don't understand what the argument you're saying, that our position is ridiculous because we make our own jihad. We make our own striving. We look at the material ourselves. We go double check the sources. Yes. So, and that's the other thing. He's so truthful that he's covering himself because he's afraid of getting murdered by who? Quran alone Muslims?
Now, yes, there are verses in the Quran which Quran only Muslims use to justify the perspective, such as verses saying, which other book would you have or use apart from this one, the Quran?
That's not what the verse says. So maybe you should learn how to read. It doesn't say that which book you should use other than this one. So you failed there.
And that the Quran is perfect from God, is infallible.
This verse is not talking about the book at all. And the word of your Lord has been fulfilled in truth and justice. This is about the commandments and the decrees of God. So if you go hit your head in a wall and it hurts, that's what God has programmed. And every time you hit your head on the wall and it hurts is literally what God wanted. So if you're going to say that you are able to change the word of God, then go ahead and show me. Hit your head on the wall and let it not hurt. When the factors are there, the result is there. That's why it's in truth and in justice. Justice is that if you're going to be a liar and a person who's going to say that the truth is ridiculous, then you're going to be somebody who's not to the caliber of having debates, because you cannot really justify your position. You're going off your whims and desires, and whatever you're trying to paint people as, it tends to be you. So I don't know, you're using the verse out of context. This is not about subjective matter. This is not talking about the scripts of God or the scriptures of God. But the funny thing is, the people who do the Islamic dilemma, Christians, they use that verse in the same way that you're approaching it, and it's incorrect. The verse literally tells you, the word of your Lord has been fulfilled in truth and justice. Fulfilled. There's a fulfillment.
And the idea ultimately is that is all you need for religious guidance. And this is exactly the content that I used to make as a Muslim. Now, the reasons why it's so ridiculous is two main reasons, really, right? The first reason is internal contradiction and errors, right?
So the Quran has internal contradictions and errors. Can you present one?
So if we look at this surah in Surah Maryam, Surah 19, it calls Mary, the mother of Jesus, Miriam, who is the sister of Aaron and Moses. Now, if you don't know timeline-wise,
if you don't know Arabic-wise,
these two individuals are separated by over 1,000 years, yet the Quran calls Mary, the mother of Jesus, Miriam, who is the sister of Aaron and Moses. Now, Orthodox, should I say Sunni Muslims, will explain this verse by using a hadith in which the Prophet Muhammad supposedly says that this is just a pious title given to people as a way of people showing them respect.
Well, us who are Quran alone, we don't need that hadith because the Arabic itself is clear. If I go to chapter 26, called the Poets, okay? And now we're going to look at the word brother, right? So if we're going to go to the word brother here, and this is about actually Moses' blood brother, right? So delay him and his brother and send gatherers into the cities. This is when Pharaoh was talking about Moses, okay? And then we're going to look, oh, wait, what's this? Oh, the people of Noah denied the messengers when their brother Noah. So everybody around Noah is a brother, because you mean that when someone says ukht or akh, right? It literally means the people around you, they are all blood brothers, right? I mean, like you're my brother in religion at one point, but I guess that doesn't work in English. Oh, what's this? Brother Hud. When their brother Hud said to them, Ad denied the messenger. So Hud was everybody's brother there, right? They're blood brothers. Contradictions. Saleh, right? Thamud denied the messengers when their brother Saleh said to them. So here, of course, they're all blood brothers. Everybody in Thamud, they were literally just one big tribe of brothers. Oh, brother Lot. The funny part is Lot is not from that city. Lot left with Abraham and they went to the blessed city, and God still said the brothers of Lot. So it's not even a brothers of tribe but well, what's this? It says the people of Lot denied the messenger when their brother Lot. So how is he their brother? He's not even from the same city. He's not even from the same area. But yet God called him his brother. That's why, because they were actually just all like blood brothers, because that's the only way that we understand what brothers is. So brother Lot, right? And then you have brother Saleh, and then you have brother Hud, and then you have brother Noah, right? And oh yeah, I almost forgot. If we go to chapter 33, there is another verse I'm going to show you in chapter 33, right? Where is it? Oh, there it is. فَإِن لَمْ تَعْلَمُوا آبَاءَهُمْ فَإِخْوَانَكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ. Word here was brothers, right? So call them by their fathers. It is more equitable in front of God. But if you do not know their fathers, then they are your brothers, your brethrens in religion. Now, the thing is, we're talking about religious matter when it came to Mary. They're saying like, hey, Mary, your mother was not a whore. Hey, sister of Aaron, the priest, sister in religion. The sister of this man who was literally a priest during the times of Moses. You are from his seed. You are from that same seed. Don't be a whore. Oh, sister of Aaron. So it does not necessitate that it was an actual blood sister. But, God knew that Moses and Aaron would be said about them that they have a sister named Mary. And God clearly states to us that there are verses that are similar. They have similarities. And only, right, people who are seeking discord and interpretations would say stuff like the way that you're saying it, that you interpreted it and you think that it's correct. But the people of knowledge who know that it's the truth from Lord say that you're wrong, because it's not an inconsistency and it's not in a contradiction. It can be understood the way that you understood it, but it can also be understood the way that I explained it, and only one way could be right. So if you want to force a contradiction in the Quran and saying, well, that's the only way that it needs to be interpreted, then so be it. But there is an exit. The exit is, he's not talking about blood brothers and blood sisters, because in the Quran consistently in other places he called other people brothers and brothers where it's not shown the way that you're showing it. But I know what you'd like to do, which you're going to do in your show really quickly, that you're going to say that there's only one way of understanding it, because nowhere in the Quran it says that ukht can mean sister other than blood sister.
Now, the reason why this is an issue, I have a whole video talking about this in response to Sunni Muslims. However, when you look at this verse contextually, linguistically, and historically, just other examples where this language may be used.
So what about the chapter, like the whole chapter I showed you where you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about linguistically?
At no other point in the Quran does it kind of give this?
Oh, well, watch. Why are you going just for the noun sister? You went from here, right? You went for the noun sister, which is ukht, right? But what's the actual root word here of ukht?
Does it kind of give this idea that calling someone the sister of is an honorary title? Now, the reason this is an issue for Islam, Quran-only Muslims,
the honorary title, I thought that was from the Sunnis, but you're talking about Quran-alone Muslims.
Because when trying to decipher the meaning behind verses and issues they may have in the Quran, they will use something called the kind of like internal context. They will cross-reference certain Arabic words elsewhere in the Quran to understand the context the rest of the Quran is revealed in, right? So rather than going to use historical context and Hadith to give context, they'll very simply look at other places in the Quran where these words are used, and they will then derive the context from that, and the context, of course, from the verse they are reading. Now, this is an issue because nowhere in the Quran does it use sister as anything but a relational, a biological relationship. It's not metaphorical.
Well,
so they can't actually.
This is where you know you're wrong. Like, this is where you're playing games. Oh, we are people that look at the root word and see where it's been used before, right? And then you said nowhere in the world. This is where you're being disgenuine, and you know this. And you're saying like, oh, hey, the word ukht, sister, was only used as blood sister in the Quran, and therefore it cannot mean anything else, right? But I just give me a moment so we can look up this root, right? let's see. Let me see this. What's it saying here? Oh, I found it. I found the root. So it's the root is akhawa, right? Alif khawa. That's the one that you wanted to show 14 times. Ukht. But you forgot the one where it's like brother or ikhwa, brothers, right? So it's been used, this root, in many ways in the Quran. Brothers, right? So here, فَمَنْ عَفَى لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ فَاتَّبَعٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. So let's go to this verse right here, right? So where God states, right? All you have believed, prescribed for you is legal retribution for those murdered. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female. But whoever looks from his brother anything. So we're all brothers, like physical brothers, as you're saying that this is the only way that it's supposed to be understood. So you are clearly now being deceptive in the way that we approach the matter. You're correct. We do look at where this root was used before so that we could understand what the root is saying. And you said when it came down to sisters, right, that it was never other than blood sisters, and therefore the word sister can only mean blood sister. No, because here we have demonstration where brother, which comes from the same root, does not mean blood brother. And God does not say that it has to be in a sense where it has to be female. Now God says that the believers are brothers, and when we're talking about when God is talking about both male and female, he would use the male pronouns and he would use the masculine form of the words. So when God is saying the believers are brothers, right? That the believers are brothers and you should fix between your brothers, this is inclusive to the females. But obviously we're not going to say they're brothers, but this is where the Arabic is kicking your butt. So this is where is it? There it is. This is where we're talking about, right? The believers are but brothers, so make settlements between your brothers and fear Allah that you may receive mercy. I think you're failing in the point that you're trying to present, calling me ridiculous. So I think that's enough of this dude. He obviously did not know what he's talking about. I feel bad for him for apostating and then becoming a Christian, but that's what God wants from him because, well, obviously he needs to cover up. I just maybe never trusted that you were a Muslim. Maybe you were, maybe you're not. This is my own assumptions. I find it weird that you go back to Christianity really quickly and you're using the same argumentations as Christians. Maybe you were being a hypocrite. If you are, I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't understand. I don't understand. But yeah, so you failed in the first contradiction. At this point, there's no point of carrying on because your points are just going to be your own whims and desires. And appreciate you coming by, though, with your whatever you wanted to present. I would love to have a discussion and a debate with you to show me what you have to present. But ladies and gentlemen, before I start, peace be upon you. Hi, Muhammad. Do you have Quranic evidence for those in the worst time of their life and feel empty, lost? Do not give up on the mercy of God. And do not give up on the Spirit of God. As Jacob said to his sons, Jacob was in a very difficult time. He lost one son, he lost his second son, and the third son stayed behind. They don't have food in their house. He's going blind. He's really hurt. He's been away from his young kid for a very long time, yet he did not give up. He kept the positivity that God's going to take care of things, and he was patient. فَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Rely on the patience and on prayer. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And it is huge, it is big, it's a difficult task, except for those who are scared or fearful of God. The reason why you go through these tests in life where you feel empty and you feel lost is because of your own brain. Your brain is convincing you this. The devil might be in your brain convincing you this, and you are accepting it. You telling me that you feel empty and lost is you accepting whatever decree that you are being told. Yet God did not create you for you to be empty and lost. God states in the Quran very clearly, my brother, that everything good is from God. Everything bad is from yourself, and everything is from God. So even when negative things happen, when bad things happen, you have to be able to twist it in a way so that it becomes positive, so that you understand why God did what he did. Even if somebody's oppressing you, you say, God didn't want this for me. That individual is crossing the lines, and God is using me so that that person can see who he is on a day of judgment, and I'm a witness. Thank you, God, for using me, but don't let me be a test or a trial for the disbelievers, because I don't like this pain, but for you, God, I'll go through with it. But please make it easy on me. And you see, when you start to go through this positivity, you find exits very easily. But it's about your mentality, and it's about how you approach matters, that you know that it's from God or not, or that you know how to deal with it. Anytime you present God in the equation, you should always find a positive output. So it's like, hey, I feel really lost and empty. God will guide me. See how you just took it, and then you took it back to God, and that positivity came. Now, before I start answering questions, all praise to the Lord, Lord of the world. And by the way, sorry, British Muslim, I have nothing against you as a person, as an individual. You're going to be dealing with your life with whatever decisions you want. I'm not here to increase a burden on you, nor am I here to make you feel bad or anything. You are targeting the thing that I love, and I have the right to defend myself. Yes, it does speak about your character, but it does not speak on who you are as a person on the day of judgment. If you correct yourself, or if you maybe misunderstood the Quran when you were a Muslim, that is understandable. You went and said that it's not from God, and you said that it's contradictions. Hopefully you could see that you're wrong and you come back to the truth. I have nothing against you, and I've already forgiven your transgressions, but I have to protect the book because you're making public material. And for me, this is what I truly love. And praise to our Lord, the Lord of the worlds, who made this possible, who allowed us to come together and be people who are pious, God willing, that we are righteous despite our mistakes and errors. God, exalted is you above everything they ascribe to you. Exalted is you above what they describe about you, what they attribute to you that didn't come from you. Exalted is you, the one that knows the hearts, the merciful, the acceptance of repentance, the first and the last, the seeing and the hearing, the apparent and the hidden, the hearer and the knower, the wise and the programmer, the guide and the guarantor, the one that knows exactly what needs to be done, the one that uplifts whom he pleases and he drops whom he pleases. Exalted is you, God, the one that provides us with love, the one that provides us with positivity, with the emotions that we need, with the food and the sustenance and the thoughts. And exalted is you, God, the one that promised us of a better world for us to be around you forever. Dear God, we ask you to forgive our sins, and we thank you for this meeting, this congregation. We apologize for our mistakes, and we pray to you for you to forego these mistakes and allow us to be ones that are following the truth. And please, our Lord, forgive our sins and allow us to be among the righteous in the end, those that you were pleased and satisfied with their works and who they are. God, raise us to be people who are working for you, people who are reminding themselves of you, because when we get reminded, it is you who is reminding us by what you have already outlined for us, God. But if you do not allow us to remember you, who's going to teach us to remember you? God, remember us when we do remember you, because you've promised us in the book that that's what occurs, and we believe in your promises. Thank you, God, for sending us such an amazing book that truly heals what's in our souls. It gives us the hopes to always carry on and to always search for that love when you do send your love, and your love is always here. Please open our eyes to recognize your blessings and your love, and for us to always be in awe and to in fear and in love and in desirement to meeting you and to wanting you and to think about you. Our Lord, let our skins turn to you, from our eyes and our mouths and hearts and ears and hair and everything on our body and inside and outside, to always keep turning back to you. God, allow us to always remember you as the solvers to our own problems. God, always allow us to always rely on you as our judge and our lawyer and our protector and our guardian and our ally. Exalted is you, the Lord, the King, above everything they ascribe to you. Make us be of those that come to you in peace and glee on the day that matters. All praise to you, the Lord of the world. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is about spouses and children. There are spouses where they make you truly flourish for who you are as an individual, as somebody who's working towards God. We have many examples in the Quran of such individuals. We have the wife of Sarah, who is wife of Abraham, Sarah, which she is spoken about as one, the mothers of believers, and somebody who truly loved Abraham, and she helped Abraham achieve what he wanted to achieve for God. She was able to sacrifice some of her own emotions and sacrifice from her own desiring just so that he would accomplish what he needed for God. She was supporting him, she was loving him, she was there for him. And just like how God ordered the prophet to tell his wives, if you want that worldly life, let me know, because I'm not going to give you the worldly life. I'll give you some stuff and I will let you go. But if you want the hereafter and you want God and his messenger, then God is preparing for the wives of the prophet a great reward. But this is a mentality that you also have to understand when it comes down to your spouses. Are they always considering the material world and the material wishes, and they're always talking about the material world, and they do not even care about your mission or what you want to achieve? Are they lacking ambition? Are they lacking the desiring to want to get closer to God? Do they do righteous deeds? Or are they just talking about brain rot material and talking about social media and gossiping and causing these issues for you, despite you showing them some of what God has shown you as love? Now, there's the other side where there's the girls that are willing to go through the pain that you're going through, that they're willing to suffer these attacks and whatever people have planned against you. They stand next to you, and yet they don't want to be in these positions, but they do it not for you, but rather for God to be happy with them. But you as an individual, as a man, when you do meet such an individual where they are willing to go through that pain with you, whether they are your spouses or even as your friend, you recognize that they truly love God, and your presence around them, it's also supporting them in that cause. But God tells us in chapter 64:14, I'm going to put this verse on the screen for us to read it together, that we need to be careful. We need to be aware, because I believe that's it. Yes, there it is. Where God is saying, I seek refuge to God from the accursed devil. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدو لكم فاحذروهم. Oh, you have believed. Indeed, there could be enemies among your wives and your children to you. Okay, so be cautious about them. Now, God is giving us a very simple scenario that among the closest people to you, whether your kids and whether your wives, or whether your husbands and whether your children, where they're actually enemies to you, they're enemies to your purpose. They dislike you. They dislike the mission. They dislike what you need to achieve for God. These children and these spouses, they end up hurting you, and they're taking you as an enemy, and they plan against you. And you could even understand from this verse that if my father, who is righteous, and this is not talking about my family, I'm giving you a scenario. If my father, who is righteous, and his wife is an enemy, and I'm the child of my father, and I am also righteous, then my mother is also an enemy to me. And there's only a few ways that you could deal with your parents, which God has outlined. It does not mean I'm going to obey my mother in everything she does, but I'm going to try to make her life easier, yet she's an enemy. She's an enemy to me and to my father. But if I am an ungrateful child, if I am a child that does not believe in God the way that I should, if I am a child that is attaching to this worldly life and the arrogance gets the best of me, and my father is the righteous man, and my mother is also an enemy, and I come close to my mother, then now it seems like me and my mother, we're pushing each other further into hell. We're pushing each other further into the problems. This is something that's extremely significant for you to understand the relationships of a family. There is this ideology, this idea, because of Western raised in the propaganda and this Western idea of what a nuclear family is, that everybody needs to be happy and everybody needs to smoke, to push smoke into people's faces on how amazing and everything is so Hollywood and Disney, where everybody gets along, and if somebody's not getting along, that he is the problem. and everybody needs to be this lovey-dovey and always positive, and there's no negativity or talking about shortfalling or shortcomings and sacrificing everything to everybody around them and their family. But the reality, what you see is the majority of the people in the West, their family is just actually very driven by material wishes, and they are not as cohesive as other families that grew up in a setting where God is very where God is telling us to be family oriented. The truth is, within these families, you are going to have enemies. It does not mean that every family has enemies within it, but in many cases, nowadays you find the enemy of you is the one that is trying to stop you from completing what you want to do. They are the ones who are slandering you. They are the ones who are hurting you. They are the ones who are setting up plans against you. They are the ones who disobey you. They are the ones that want nothing to do with you, yet all they do is cause you pain and misery. I'm pretty sure we've heard about a lot of people going such things. Not only your kids, but your parents. And sometimes it's your wives, and sometimes it's your husband. A husband that has no ability to actually care for his own kids, and he uses his wife as a punching bag, and he disrespects that sanctity of a marriage, thinking in his mind because of fake traditions that he has the right to even cheat on her when he doesn't think that it's cheating. This individual is an enemy to a girl that is pious. This is a story that we often hear now as being Quran alone individuals, where people who come from a Sunni backgrounds, they assume that secret marriages is okay, and it completely destroys the morals and the self-esteem of the people's wives that are involved when they find out that their man, unfortunately, didn't know that it would be wrong for him to marry behind his wife's back, and even going as far as producing more children that she nor his other kids are aware of. These are issues where the person now is an enemy to you because they are not thinking about the hereafter. For me, it is very clear on who is an enemy and who isn't an enemy. I am not caring that you believe in the Quran or not. This is not the criterion for me. But if you say you believe in the Quran, I'm not chasing you away because God told me not to chase you away. But for me, it is how often do you remind yourself and you remind others of the day of judgment? Because that's the objective. That is the plan. That is the goal. That is the mission. There's a devil that's pulling me away and trying to block me from my mission, which is the day of judgment. And then there is people who don't care about the day of judgment and just want this world. And whoever wants this world to me is an enemy. It does not mean I need to fight them. It does not mean that I need to make moves against them. I just need to be, as God told me in the verse, be cautious of these individuals. Because these individuals will just want to pull you into the worldly life. They want to talk about things and take away your time so that they would deal with their worldly life and not care about the hereafter. The individuals that I would consider as my brothers in religion and brothers in faith and sisters in religion and sister in faith, the ones that are capable of understanding when the word is said about the day of judgment, that person should take that in account. Hey, you know what? Stop fighting that person. On the day of judgment, God will take care of them. You know what? I did want to really get revenge on them. They really upset me. They really hurt me. But I agree. I'll just leave it for the day of judgment. And then they stop thinking about it. They stop pondering about it unless something new comes up. For me, this individual truly believes that God is going to get the retribution. So I don't need to worry about these 10 minutes on earth trying to get back at these individuals. This is truly my yardstick or my measurement if a person believes in God or not. There are times where revenge is important. There are times where you need to punish the way that you've been punished. There are times for you to stick up for yourself, but it should not be the subject matter that you're constantly talking about, taking back revenge on people in the worldly life or slandering people or thinking that you are part of something that needs to be accomplished, that this is how things needs to be just because you thought so. The best way to deal with your enemies is truly what God states here. And God is talking about spouses and children here, and it includes your parents because of the nature of the relation. It's implicitly understood. But we're going to finish what the verse is saying, and God is telling so God is telling us here in the same verse that we're looking at, but if you excuse, right, if you pardon, if you excuse, right? وَإِن تَعْفُوا وَتَصْفَحُوا وَتَغْفِرُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. So, but if you excuse, pardon, and forgive, then God is forgiving and merciful. Me forgiving somebody, me pardoning somebody, it does not mean that this individual got away with his sins. It does not mean that he's not going to get in trouble on the day of judgment. I just don't want to deal with it now. I don't want to deal with it because there's so much. Sometimes the odds are against me. Sometimes it's just going to cause more issues. Sometimes to sit here and to hold grudges and to go back and forth and to keep going at things, it's not worth it for me and my pain and my religion. On the day of judgment, you're going to get embarrassed. On the day of judgment, the truth is going to be full. I am a person who is trying to adhere to honesty. I'm trying to adhere to perseverance. I'm trying to adhere to the right. And I have been honest to myself, so there's nothing for me to worry about. If I feel that I have transgressed against somebody in a way, then it is my obligation to go make the amendments if they're willing to make amendments. If not, I did my part and I move on. Because it doesn't matter that if it's my wife, it doesn't matter that if it's my child, it doesn't matter that if it's my parents. If I forgive and I give them excuses and I pardon it and I move on, I know that that person still has to live out their life in the miserable way that they're living. Because whatever they've been putting me through, whatever the pain that they've been causing me because of their own mentality and their own seeking of revenge and whatever else they think, because they just want to place themselves as an enemy, they're going to be doing that to other individuals. Because I am not the one who transgresses, because I am judging myself, and you should as well. This is the problem where people forget God in the equation. And the people that do not remember God in the equation, and they usually use the verses of God against other people and they forget themselves, those, in my opinion, are the enemies. But sometimes, in the majority of the time, the best way to approach an enemy is you don't tell him that you're an enemy. If they're labeling you as an enemy, well, you made it clear. You're making it clear. Because God tells me in the Quran to push evilness and wickedness with good things. Talk to them nicely. Approach them in a proper way. Tell them the truth. Don't be upright in your testimony. And push the evil with goodness. Make some amendments. Give an olive branch. Make a bridge. Bring them, confront them, talk to them in a way so that they could get to a point where your enemy is just like a close friend. This is in chapter 41, I believe, Fussilat. But there is another thing that you have to understand when it comes down specifically to your spouses. Okay? Let me find this verse. Missing it. There it is. So this is in, I believe, chapter 20, verse 131. And this is specifically for your female spouses. So it's your wives. God states, and do not extend your eyes towards what we have given kinds of them to enjoy. Okay? Azwajan here, and he's talking to the males. But God states something in Arabic here that is very beautiful when you understand it. He's talking about the disbelievers, and he's telling the Prophet, do not extend your eyesight to what we have provided them as mates for them. Zahrat al-hayat al-dunya. Here, Shu'aiba opted to say the splendors of the worldly life. But you could also say Zahra is like almost the flower of the worldly life, or it's like the beautification of the worldly life, hayat al-dunya. The point that I'm trying to make is that Zahrat al-hayat al-dunya, the thing that truly gives you this pleasure in the worldly life, is the companion that you're with. It's your spouse. If she's an enemy to you, it is something that is going to be hurtful, because you are a person that requires this relationship, because Adam was created in that relationship. We were created as bonds, as pairs. So what is going to be the most important bond? Is it going to be your parents? No, that's a bond of respect. Is it going to be your children? That's a bond of respect again. This is you raising the kids, and that's your parents raising you. But the bond that where it is holy and sanctified is the bond between you and your spouse, because there are a lot of procedures for you to make somebody yours as a spouse. She is supposed to be that flower of your life. When you meet a girl like that, you understand what God is telling you here, where she gives you that joy in your life. She gives you that strength in your life, yet she has the ability to pull you into the worldly life because of how much you are willing to sacrifice for your spouse as a human nature. And this is actually proven in the Quran. O Prophet, why do you forbid what God made legal for you, desiring the pleasuring of your wives, when you should be pleasuring God? You should be satisfying God. The Prophet has forbid something upon himself to make his wife happy, when God's saying you shouldn't be doing that, because it's in the human nature to take care of that flower that you love. It's to take care of the thing that you find beautiful in this world, this gem that God has given you. But imagine now on the flip side, where this flower is looking up to this man that is supposed to be taking care of her, but he is an enemy to her. So he keeps stomping on his flower. He doesn't water his flower. He goes around and he's insulting his flower. So the flower, as a reactive state, it starts to give thorns. And anything that gets close to it, it doesn't feel good. Because instead of providing more petals and looking more beautiful, its reaction as a flower, that if it's constantly getting cut, it's going to start to produce thorns so it can survive. These are the metaphors that I find in the Quran that is pleasing, that is amazing. When you see flowers that are growing in a beautiful bed, and their whole job is to grow in a bed, they grow so beautifully with such beautiful colors, and they're so pleasing to look at. Yet us as human beings, the beautiful part about, yes, there are benefits, but I mean, just generally, they're not giving you fruits to eat. They're just an amazing thing to look at, and it's amazing to have around you. And it truly brings you joy if you understand how these plants are around you. But if you go to a place where there's a lot of like destruction, flowers tend to evolve by having these thorns so that they don't get cut. So this is some things that you have to reflect in the Quran. These are things that are extremely clear if you truly delve into the material and you start to reflect upon these signs that God has given in front of us. There's so many trees. There's so many trees, and God tells us, have you not seen how God strikes an example for you with these trees? That a good word is like a good tree. Its roots are solid, its trunk is up in the air, and it provides its fruit whenever God allows it to provide its fruit. That's a good word. How many times do you see a tree a day? How many times do you get reminded that you need to say good things to people? Right? You can get your chat read when I'm done. So, but what I was trying to explain as well is that you can also see the trees that are negative, where their roots are not into the land in a proper way, and they're not producing the fruits except through a lot of pain. That's the bad word. And God solidifies the human beings that are believers with the good words in the world and the hereafter. So these are things that you need to actually ponder upon. And when you're reflecting upon the people around you, you measure it for your own sake. And when somebody tells you, hey, what's wrong with me? Then at that point, you can explain it using good words. If it's somebody that you truly love and you see him made the error, then you admonish him as God told you. But you use the words that truly matter to this individual for them to wake up. You don't need to give them to start reciting verses at them as when they don't hear you. You don't need to sit here and to put them down with your opinions and you got to explain to them what you're seeing based on the objective. The thing that is amazing that God tells us about Abraham, Isaac, and Ismail, right? And Jacob, that he has fulfilled them with the remembrance of the hereafter, right? So they themselves are constantly thinking about the hereafter, and Abraham is from the elites of the believers. Abraham is Abraham. We know who Abraham is in the book of God. But أخلصهم ذكر الدار. He fulfilled them with the remembrance of the home, the hereafter. And this is something that we truly need to remind ourselves. And that's how we can judge who's our enemy or not. Are they just slandering you and hurting you and saying things because they themselves are hurt, yet they don't know where the limits of God is? Well, then it's clear at that moment they're being your enemy. Are your children being ungrateful? They just want material wishes and they're not being thankful. They don't mention God. They don't think about God. They barely do anything and they're just insulting you. Well, that's their ability. That's their limits. I'm not going to change it. I'm here to discipline them. I'll do my part. If they're not disciplined, I'm going to excuse, to forgive, and to forgo and pardon, because they're going to have to live their life when I'm dead. Is my mother somebody who's a narcissist that does not appreciate God, and everything that she wants to do is about herself, my mother or my father? Again, I'm not speaking about my parents. Not anybody ever misquote me. Then at that point, I just have to do what God says. I do not need to upset her. I need to show her mercy. I need to forgo and forgive. That's the true life of a believer. Now, with that said, the sermon is done. May God accept it from us. I do want to say something that's personal at this point. And if anyone wants to pray after the sermon, it's chapter 64 is what we're praying. Now, I am a person that I see the power of forgiveness. I see the power of pardoning and foregoing. I'm usually a person you don't want to cross too many times. Yes, because of my experiences in life, I know how to this guy is highly influenced by, you see, this is where people are speaking that have no idea who I am, and they make these comments. How am I highly influenced by Western culture when I grew up in the Middle East? Huh? I didn't come to the West until I was way above the age of, being influenced. So you have no idea what you're speaking about. You can be quiet in the chat instead of making assumptions. But what I was trying to say earlier is that I'm a person that can throw my weight around if I need to in regards to certain things. But I've personally found that the more you forgive and the more you pardon, the more you forego, the individuals around you, they don't see it as a weakness. In fact, they try to trigger you more to get a reaction out of you. But the more you stay upstanding in what you are saying, because you're always going to say the truth and you don't hide, and you keep forgiving the people's mistakes, and you keep letting people get away with what they think they're getting away with, at a time when you're going to strike back, you really have a lot of ammunition. It's because at that point, God is with you. God says in the Quran that somebody who has been transgressed against, and they punish the same way that they're punished, if somebody transgresses against them again, then God will give him the victory. These are things that it happens with your wife, it happens with your children, it happens with your friends, it happens with your parents, with everybody. This is a rule in the Quran that does not change. So the more you're capable of forgiving, being patient, pardoning, asking God to forgive these individuals, asking God to forgive your kid, your parents, your mother, not if they're being true enemies to God in the sense they're pagans or selling gods or selling certain things or mushriks or idolaters, then you have every right to keep asking God, and you should be asking God to forgive these individuals. And the more I did that, the more benefits I see. Unfortunately, people take that as a form of intimidation. They find you to be a little bit intimidating because they see when you do strike, it hurts. It hurts other people. But the only reason why you do that is because when you do sting that one time, it really matters. But if you're going to sting at every fight that comes to you, and people don't take you as seriously, then you're not as that person who is capable of handling themselves. As God says, وَالْقَاضِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ, where you conceal your anger. They hold back their anger, and they are capable of forgoing and pardoning. As the Prophet says, وَيَعْفُ عَنْ كَثِيرٍ, the Prophet used to pardon a lot from what people used to say about God. Because it's like, I'm not going to sit here and pick a fight with every single person what they say. I'm not going to sit here and retaliate at anyone that made a move on me. But I am a person that I am told by God, and do not let people take you lightly. So if I am somebody who is being accused of things, or somebody's attacking me, or somebody's hurting me, or somebody's making videos about me, or somebody who's attacking my parents, or attacking my spouse, or whatever it is, I'm going to sit that person down, and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to see who's the liar. And when the thing is matter and the matter is settled, I move on. But if individuals want to keep going, then we have the book of God to save us. The book of God is truly amazing in this. But this does not apply only in your relationship. This applies all the way up into the politics, where wars can occur because of these things. If I'm a person who has a military, I do not need to go cause a war every time I get a chance to, nor am I going to use the military to oppress. But you hit me once and I let you go. You hit me twice and I let you go. The third time you're coming, if I hit back, I have so much to hit you because you've already hit me twice that I forgo and I forgave you. But if I'm going to hit you that one time, I want to make sure that I count. So this is what the Quran is teaching you in a way so that you are extremely solid in your position. When God tells you the plan of the devil is weak, it truly is weak because he's always trying to egg you for a reaction with things that are not true. And if you're going to sit and try to address everything that he's throwing at you in the same manner that he's addressing you, then you're going to lose. But if you take the Quran and you apply the Quran and how God tells you to fight the devil, you're almost guaranteed to win. You just have to be patient. You have to persevere. And even if they kill you, you've already won. That's how amazing this book is. So yeah, with today's topic, it's very clear. It's very easy. Individuals around you, from the closest people to you, from the furthest people to you, can be enemies. The way that you treat your enemies is it's always the same way. You should be always forgiving, always inclining to peace. And when you're going to strike, there's no inclining to peace until they incline to peace. Because God wants us to be people who are extremely loyal to the cause, just like soldiers, and just like politicians, and just like scientists and engineers who are loyal to what they do. But the difference is our allegiance is with God, and we should be more professional than the ones that we are having to be targeted by. This sense of professionalism is extremely important. The way that you articulate yourself, it's something that needs to come from your essence, from your core. When you are dealing with your enemies, the thing that is going to be different between you and your enemy, it's not the size, but rather it's the will and your certainty in the truth. When people look in your eyes, they can see that if you truly believe in what you say, or if you truly are wicked and you want to remove yourself from what is holy. And at that point, you see the survival of the fittest, or the survival of the person with the strongest will. And if you have your certainty with God and you put your faith in God, there's nobody on earth that can shatter that, because that means that they're going to shatter the will of God, and nobody's going to change the word of God, nor are they going to change the will of God. So even if they put a bullet in you and you're not living in this world here, you are still smiling because the will of God is getting complete. You were just part as a pawn on the chessboard that God has created. And when God wants to win, God will move one piece and everybody would be done and everybody would be lost. So you would love to be that one piece, or you would love to be on the side where that one piece is going to come from. This is the ultimate truth. This is a game, if we're going to call it a game, that God has created. This is a life that God has created. And whenever God wills, he wins. So we're already on the winning side if you understand this. Why would you get mad? Why would you want revenge? Why would you sit here and get mad about things and get upset about people that are on the losing side? Because all it takes is one scream, one blast, one earthquake, one volcano, one pebble from sky, and it's all done. And you're on the winning side. So what is there to be mad about? That certainty of the person in front of you is going to die is the thing that needs to be reminded of you in certain situations where the guy in front of you gets intimidated, because he himself doesn't know this. Yeah, it's the truth which he is aware of, but he doesn't know that he's going to die. He just believes that he's going to die. But the person that knows that he's going to die, he lives his life that he's already dead. Yet the only thing that he stays with is God. You're leaving me. You guys are going to go. This channel is going to disappear. This house around me is going to get gone. My parents are going to die. My spouse is going to die. The kids I'm around are going to leave. My moderators, peace guys, they're going to go. Everybody's going to go. But to sit here and to hold on to things, especially individual that's going to fight me or wants animosity with me, you're only fighting yourself on the day of judgment, because you need to sit there and tell God why you needed this corruption, and why you needed this vengeance, or why you needed my material, or why you needed to shut me up so bad. So individually, I can let it all go. The thing that people forget, which is the ultimate truth, which removes the veil from your eyes and makes your eyes truly sharp, is the day of judgment is coming, and you're going to die. And the person in front of you, he's going to die too. And he's also going to stand for the day of judgment. I'm remembering that. Are you? And if you truly understand what I said to you, this is the first step today to truly change your life. Because it changed to me, from what I understand, it's when the command comes, you change. But for it to show, it takes time. When God wants to bring the night into the sky, it's one command. Hey, the night is coming from the day. Okay, the night is coming. But the way that God does it, it's gradual. He merges it. So if you truly want to be that believer, God doesn't tell you to call yourself a believer, but say, I submit, and let that change gradually happen. But you have to allow it to happen and not quit so far. A brother asked me earlier, is what do I do when feeling empty? Well, you are wanting to change, you start to change and then you quit. You're a quitter. That's why you feel empty. The human being wants to work. What are you working for? The human being wants to produce. That's why God gave us these hands. The human being wants to learn. That's why we have this brain. The human being wants to experience. That's why we have these ears and eyes. What are you using them for? That's the thing that is going to fill your cup or empty your cup. This is the thing that you need to understand. Look at these individuals that God has truly sealed their hearts, sealed their minds, sealed their ears. This individual here is saying that I follow my own desires, yet he has yet to accept some of the words that I said because he wants to hear about what Muhammad said to Omar and what Omar said to Ali, history that this individual has absolutely nothing to do with. Yet he cannot understand the basics that if I am following my own desires, why am I talking about the day of judgment? If I am truly following my own desires, I would be a lot more affluent. I wouldn't be visiting my parents, sitting in my parents' basement right now. I would have the cars that I wanted to have. I would have the home that I wanted to have. I would fly wherever I wanted to fly for my own desires. I have desires that I put to rest and I kill them and I don't even entertain them because you don't know what it means to. You follow your desires. You desire that your cults and what you think is the truth, but yet you have no substantial evidence of it. When I start to talk to you about what the Quran states, you literally give me what you think, and it goes against your scholars and it goes against your cult. This is what happens every time you guys open your mouths and come my way. You guys keep saying that we follow our own desires. We've literally put our own desires to bed, okay? We don't partake in certain actions and certain things and certain, not because it's haram or halal. You guys keep saying things are haram, halal, and haram, but we don't engage in it because we want the hereafter. To you, reason is haram. To you, reason is haram. Oh, okay. To them, when I call him Paul the apostate, that's an insult. You have to understand something. I don't need to accept him as an apostle. And the reason why I call him an apostate, because this man went and spread idolatry. He, to me, in my mind, he's an example of Abraham's dad. Okay, Abraham's dad used to build little rocks and sell them as gods. Like, here you go, bro. Here's a god for $4.99. Enemy of God to me. This guy was like, hey, well, I've been killing all these Christians in Damascus, and there's just way too many Christians for me to kill. Yep. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm a Jew. I kill a lot of Christians, and I can't kill them all. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to mess up their religion. Oh, good morning, guys. Seen Jesus in a dream. Jesus said he's God. So worship Jesus. Leave the Father alone. Just worship Jesus. Oh, and Jesus said this. Don't take anything from the Torah. And Jesus said that the Holy Spirit is also God. So now we have like 3 gods, okay, not one. And I'm going to write some letters just for the Jews to sit here and support me and ruin the Christians because I couldn't kill them all. And, oh yeah, God saved me. That's the most subtle way for me to tell you why you guys are actually doomed. You're showing someone respect who is on akin to the father of Abraham. Who are you going to insult? You're going to insult God? You can't insult God. I believe in the same God as you, the Father. You're going to insult Muhammad? That doesn't change that Paul, whoever Paul is, because Paul in his own writing tells you he's a fake prophet. And that's why he's an apostate. He's not an apostle. He's not a messenger of God. He's not messenger of anything other than the devil. He wanted to destroy Christians. He wanted to kill every Christian that he met. He was literally killing every Christian that he met, killing them. He couldn't kill them all. So what am I going to do? The next best thing, destroy their religion. And he succeeded with the help of the Jews. Where do you think he got his fundings from? How do you think he got access to send his letters wherever they were getting sent? Who do you think supported him? The same people who wanted Jesus dead. Do you think the story ends there? The same people that want Muhammad dead, the same people that wanted Muhammad gone, are the same people who gave you Hadith. Do you understand that? Muawiyah and Abu Sufyan and all these other people in Mecca that hated Muhammad's gut and his message. They all became Muslims. And they all started giving Hadith. It's the same story. You think the devil quits when he says, "Oh yeah, I believe just like you." There's some people that say we believe in God in the last day, right? And they are not believers. They try to deceive God, but they're only, and those who believe, but they only deceive themselves. When I read what Muawiyah was writing, it's very difficult to believe that this guy's a believer. It's showing his hypocrisy in what he wrote and what he commanded and everything. And then this guy, they say, no, this guy is one of the tops. If I go read the letters of Paul, there's absolutely no way this guy believes in God in the last day. Absolutely no way. If that's what Paul actually wrote. He's talking about a man coming, God coming as a man, and that he needs to worship that man. And you're saying that like the Trinity is not, which is not in the Torah. Now you're canceling all the commandments of the Torah. There's no more Sabbath. What are you talking about? How are you a child of Israel that follows Moses and Jesus and you don't do a Sabbath? How are you a person that tells me that eating pork now is whatever? Just because you went and canceled the whole Torah. You canceled the law. You had the parables, right? Which the Quran has parables, but you went ahead and canceled all the law. Yeah, bro, he's definitely an apostate. Cool. Second question. You like Ali more than the 3 Sahaba? Rank them. I'm not here to rank them. I don't know them. What do you want me to rank, Khabat? Oh, I got a question. Peace, brother. Thank you for your donations. I got a question. Do you agree Christians worship a rabbi, Jesus, according to the Bible? Jesus is called 17 rabbi, that they worship a Jewish man and a rabbi. Jesus was not a Jew, nor was he Jewish. He was a child of Israel. Child of Israel does not mean Jew. Jesus was never a sectarian. That would be haram. That would be kufr. So Jesus was never a Jew. Second question. Do you like Ali more than the other 3 Sahaba? Rank them. Again, I don't know them. But coming from stories, okay, I like Omar. Like, I like the stories of Omar. I don't know. I don't study them. But me personally, from the, watching the Avengers, right? Watching the Avengers. What's the dude that I like from the Avengers? I don't know. I'll give you one. Let's say Iron Man. I don't like Iron Man. But whatever. Let's assume that Iron Man. Watching the Avengers of the Sunnis, okay? Omar seems like the most, I don't know what they went through. I don't know who they are as people. God bless you, bro. Thank you for the donations. And I'll try to answer questions. There is no open forum today, guys. I apologize. I have some obligations that I need to attend to. Judaism is a Gentile cult. Yeah, exactly. It's a cult. I have a question. Can you explain the Sabbath in the Quran? The Sabbath, from what I understand, God states that it is ordered upon the people who differed in Abraham. So we don't differ in Abraham. We know Abraham was a submitter to God. The Christians, the Jews, they started to say things about Abraham which is not true. And God says, I'm trying to find the verse. Sorry, give me a second. Accept. There it is, which is 16:124. So if I go to 16:124, is the reason why we don't do give me a second, the Sabbath. Let me make sure about it. Yeah, so I don't know if Shu'aibah translated the way that I see it, but I'll show Shu'aibah's translation, and then I will show you the other translations, which I remember. I'm not sure. I have to be careful with what I'm saying. I just want to know 16:124. Why is it not showing? 16:124. Bingo. Right. So the Sabbath is not ordained for us, right? Yeah. So there is a grammar here. That's the issue. إنما جعل السبت, okay? The Sabbath was only assigned to those who differed in him. It's not in it, from what I understand. إنما جعل السبت على الذين اختلفوا فيه. Now in Arabic, the word فيه can mean it or him, okay? So if I'm talking about the Sabbath, it would be it in English. But if I'm talking about Abraham, right, then it would be him here, because we don't have it in Arabic. Everything is masculine or feminine. Now, Sabit, right, is masculine. So it's going to have a masculine pronoun, fihi, right? So here it could be him or it. Now, Shu'aiba opted that God is talking about the Sabbath, but I don't understand how it means that how the Sabbath was assigned to those who differed in the Sabbath. But from the verse before, it says, then we inspired to you to follow the creed of Abraham, right? Orthodoxly, for he was not of the polytheist, right? And the Sabbath was put assigned for those who differed in Abraham, as we have many verses saying that they say he's a Jew, he's a Christian, and they differed about Abraham. And if you go to other translations, there are other individuals that would say about him, right? About him. Sorry. So Asad said him, Ghali said it, Safi Qasqas is saying it, Asad we already said though, Pikathal is saying it, as it's to observance. Again, about Abraham, the clear Quran, this is Mustafa Khattab, unfortunately, it. So there's more it than him, but I still hold to the fact that I believe that it's him, because it does not make sense how Sabbath is ordained for the people who differed about the Sabbath. So people are going with it, but I just don't understand it. So here, Shabir Ahmed is saying divergent views about him, right? Again, it with him. I'm more in, yep, it, Abdul Halim, Ali. And by the way, this site, Islamic, it's called Islamic Awakened. You can find it. Even Shu'aiba's translation is here, guys. So we have Shu'aiba Abdullahi. So he's putting it as it, right? اختلفوا فيه, right? About him, Said Malik, about it, in this agreement. This person even cared to say it. Over it. So there's more it than him. But again, I don't want to get into the details about how people translate. But yeah, so the Sabbath is for the children of Israel because of that reason is what I believe it is. The reason why they were told to do the Sabbath is because that's their curriculum. But we don't have to follow that curriculum because we don't differ about Abraham. That's true. It could mean, that's where Shu'aiba can clarify that for me, because I don't know what he meant. What is it? Guys, so is he talking about the creed of Abraham, or are they talking about, because some people said about the observance, okay, about differing about the observing of it. Yeah, so like Yusuf Ali, for example, he's saying that it's observance. Maybe Shu'aiba is opting that it is the creed of Abraham, which I would understand that. Melanie, guys, do you want to guess? Do you want to guess which sect this guy is from? This has been talked about a lot, bro. You can go check with Adnan Rashid. Unfortunately, he ran. A lot of Sunnis run. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to come to a close. Bless you all for coming. I apologize, not today, bro. Not today. Oh, before I leave, I was asked a question by my brother Charlie. He asked me about the preserved tablet and the mother book. Okay, so God states about how the Quran in the mother book is a wise book, and God states that the Quran has hit an example to everything that's in the book. Okay, so the Quran has an example to everything that's in the book, and God states that in the mother book, the Quran is considered a wise book. And then you have there's a verse that says that the Quran, right? The Quran is in a preserved tablet. Now I want to talk about the mother book first. The mother book has the decree of everything, every single judgment, to every single accident, to every single incident, to everything in history, the results of everything. That's the mother book. That's the book that we're going to see on the day of judgment, where it does not leave a small thing or a big thing. And all of history, all of the judgment, everything is going to be presented at that point from the mother book. Now, in that mother book, it has the results of everything that occurs. And in religion, the Quran is hitting every example that's in the mother book. So one set of verses, or like the story of Moses, applies to many other stories. And you take the example of Moses and you apply it to the other other places where it fits. So the Quran has given you an example to everything that's in the mother book in regards to our religion. Now, that the Quran itself is in a preserved tablet, this tablet that we have is still present in front of us. The unfortunate part, in this day and age, we are reading to what people have read from this preserved tablet. So the tablet, when it was originally came to us, there was no diacritics and the dots were very little. So people would be reading it differently. So if I showed this example to people, if I, brother, like here, there's an individual that reached out to Adnan directly. And Adnan said, yes, I will take a look into it if you donate money as well. And the person donated the money for him to debate me. And he said that he's going to get back to him, and he never did. So Adnan did run away. Adnan Rashid ran away. Bro Haji ran away. Obviously, Hijab ran away after a small discussion. Ali Dawa ran away. Every other Muslim cowboy ran away. Dawa over Dunya ran away. They all can't stand in the ring. They all run, bro. They all run. You all run. You all run. When he ran, it's on his live. And people telling him, come debate. He said, oh yeah, I'll get back to you. And it was somebody who's close to him, and he promised him, and nothing came because he ran. You run. So I was in the middle of showing you something, which is Al Jazeera. Oh, sorry. Al Jazeera. Arabic. Yeah, that's the Sunni crowd. They won't run. No, not today, Hilal. They all run. They all run to atheists and to Christians and Shias and all the other sects. They run to them. But when they come to us, no, they run away. I wonder why. I wonder why. They have no problem sitting and talking to everybody. Well, peace, brother, convert Muslim, Charlie. So, one thing that I want to show you here, this is the Jazeera. Okay, so this is the website for news. Notice there's no diacritics, right? So, okay, dude, why is this website being so weird right now? Let's go like this. So there is no diacritics. Al-Harb ala Gaza. So here I'm capable of deducing what's being said. We have all the dots that we need. That makes it easy. But here, these words could be read a little differently if some of the dots are missing, and if the word here does not have like a normal basis. Like Gaza, if there's no dot, I could say Izza, right? So now we have two readings, Gaza and Izza. And what happens? Yes, and you see, like the individual knew what was being said right away. We didn't need diacritics. But if there's some dots missing and some words can be read differently, like I would now have a reading of the consonantal text. And that's what was happening. And these permutations became so much at one point that they need to standardize it, where they had the 7 to 10 readings, and then it kept adding to the standardization. But if I'm reading something like here, if I say Al-Harbu ala Izza, right, it can have a meaning. But if I know there's a city called Gaza, right, and I say Al-Harbu ala Gaza, that's closer to the truth. And unfortunately, that's what happened with these. There's ways for me to read the Quran where it will make no sense, and it did not become a reading because nobody would read it that way. But it would still make words, just not a coherent sentence. Like يعقد اجتماعا طارئا عدا, right? It's not like a word, but if somebody doesn't put the dot where it's supposed to be, and in this case, you wouldn't need to put the dot because there's no other way of saying this other than gadan, right? Because their addan wouldn't make sense here at all. So that's what they used to do before. It's like I didn't need to put a dot here because it can't be anything else. Or like here, I didn't need to put a dot either because it's not bi'aqid. Or well, no, that could be a word. So no, that would be Let me find a better explain. I'm not. I need the dots to read it. So, برعاية برعانة yeah. So here, for example, رعاية. This is ra, alif, and then this here, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't need to put these two dots to signify ri'aya, because ri'aba, which is one dot at the beginning, means nothing. Ra'ana wouldn't mean anything in that form either. But you see, it's just these are hard without hada khabar khair. Yeah, like here it's hada khayar khabar. Yeah, so here I wouldn't need the dots either in this word right here, this one right here. Oh man, I can't select it. Yeah, I can't select it, but it's the word right here at the end. Oh, you can see it. So hada khayar. I can't say hada khabar. Wouldn't make sense. So I didn't need to put a dot here. Khanar is not a word either, right? So these dots are helpful for us to read very quickly, but not all of them are necessary, and that's what they did in the Quran. And not a single diacritic. See that? Not a single diacritic. And this we can read this very easily, right? So دوران الأرض يتسارع والأسباب غير واضحة إلى الآن. So when this guy is telling me about is the world is flat, it's saying the rotation of the earth is speeding up, and the reasons are not clear right now. And there's again not a single diacritic. And that's why when we go look at the Quran at this point, we are giving the diacritics, so because of how intricate, like how intricate the Quran is. Thanks, Yara. So for example here, الذين يبلغون. So here, يبلغون, we have this diacritic on top of the L and another one at the bottom. I could say الذين يبلغون, which means to reach the messages of God instead of notify the messages of God. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So yeah. So what I was trying to say is that this word could be written a few times. الذين يبلغون رسالات الله, which means the people who reach the messages of God, or الذين يبلغون, or are the ones who are saying it. But you see how we have this diacritic to say that this is the reading that we want. But it could be read in more than one way. Now, if I say that those that reach the messages of God, and يخشونه ولا يخشون, and they don't fear anybody and they fear him and they don't fear anybody other than God, this technically still can make sense, right? But which one is closer to the Quranic narrative, which one makes more sense, is the one that you want to be taking. But I don't want to say, I don't think you would have a reading in that way that I said, but I'm more than happy to check for you to see how this is read by other people. Corpus. No, it's not corpus. There you go. Some of your comments are really weird, dude. Some of your comments are really weird. I was saying, man, exactly. That's the earth that I live in. Alhamdulillah. It's all praise to my Lord. That'd be amazing. Okay, so no, I'm not saying that the pizza slice would be amazing, but I'm saying that bringing readings. And Ladina, Balaguna. So see, there is different readings to this one here, where we have everyone is in like consistency, yuballiguna, right? But then some people read it as balighu, and ballaguna, right? Yabliguna, yuballiguna, which would be like the same as this one, but they did have two other readings, and it's risalati. This is the same, risalati la rabbihim. So someone completely changed the word there, which now these are these inconsistency where the book actually comes as help because of the consonantal text. وَيُسَبِّحُونَهُ. This is the same. الَّذِينَ. These are the same. So yeah, so as I was saying, it goes back to the actual consonantal text. But the mother book is an amazing book. If you start to think about it, it technically has all the science, all the engineering, all the programming, all the decrees, all the psychology, everything is in the mother book. Can you check the manuscripts? Sure. So this is in we're doing 339. To go to the manuscripts, it's right here. Okay, here's the manuscripts for this. So this would be a little newer because we have more dots than usual, and the dots are present. This is a little newer again. And here you could see that the letters are now connected. I don't know if you guys can see it as good as I can. So here the letters all started to connect as one word. Same here, the words. No, here it's a little older than this one from what it seems. But you're having the red dots, which is showing you, you have black dots and red dots. This is showing you the different readings, okay? And then you also then go to something that's a little older, where you still have more dots than usual, but you have like separations of the words. So you'll see some words will start here, and then it'll end here. So فلما الذين. So you see here, right here, this, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Can you guys see my mouse or no? You can when I clicked it. So is this the one? Yeah, so here is the start of the word. That's an L here. Okay, let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. There we go. So here, this is the beginning. Wa, L. This is just an alif. Come on, dude. Show it to me. There it is. This is the start of the word. Walladina. And the ladina is right here. So you have ladina. This dot is for the thing up top. Ladina, no, actually, al-ladina is the dot here, but it's also telling you here that this is the dot where it's supposed to be. Al-ladina, noon with a dot. And you see there's a separation. So the word in our time, this would be one word. From here to here to here, it would be one single word. But they actually just showed you letters. Wa, alif, and then la, alif, al-ladina yakhshawna, la yakhshawna illa Allah, I believe. الذين يخشونه, yeah, يخشونه يبلغون. Sorry, no, this is الذين يبلغون رسالات. So this is the word that we were looking at, يبلغون. See what I mean? So يبلغون. Yeah, the ya didn't have any dots right here, and the ba, they signified it with a dot. So it's not. So the dot is actually for this one here. يبلغون. They didn't tell you about the dot here, and then you have it here. This is a ra. It's not a da. It looks like a da, but this is a ra. Risalat. Allah. And notice now they're giving you other dots that have probably to do with more so about the reasons or the idgham. Again, I don't sit and spend too much time with these manuscripts, but this is the word that we were looking at together. It starts from here to here. That's yablughun. So someone is assuming that this is a ya. Someone can ya'linun almost. Balaghun. So some guys put the ba here at the beginning from the readings. Some people put ya and some people put ba from the non-canonical readings. But you could put this as a ba technically. Balaghu. This is nuts. Seeing these is amazing. Let's go see the other manuscripts. Let's see if we can get someone that's really old. Let's get the older ones. This is still fairly new. This is really new at this point. It's getting closer to what we have now. This is it. This is like what we have now pretty much. This is going to be a little older now. Not necessarily, because the words are getting connected still. I can't read this. How old is this one? Yeah, this is really old at this point. Does it tell you 750 to 900? This is gonna be quite some. Yeah, good luck reading this. You're gonna have to look at this text for a while. The dots are still consistent here though, but it's not like the dots that we get today. That's Allah right there. It says Alif La Allah. The way that I read these transcripts, by the way, is I try to recognize a word so I know which verse I'm reading. And then because I know the verse, I start to try to make it out. So far it's been, I have Allah. Farad Allahu, Sunnat Allah, Sunnah. This is Sunnah. This is Sunnah. Found it. Sunnatullah fi farada. So this is the word farada here. There's not a single dot. This is so difficult to read for me nowadays if I just see it on the street, because there's supposed to be a dot up here and there's supposed to be a dot here, which I think they're trying to signifying that here. But this here can be marada, which means like sick, right? Farada. But would marada Allah doesn't make sense. Farad Allah would make sense. It's nuts. I love this text, man. This book here is amazing. But yeah, so you see now, guys, there's no diacritics. People read it in a way, and then people made it easy by saying like, this is how we read it, which is the Hafs and Asim and all these other people. No, this is Farad Allah. Yeah, but there's no dot. Ma farad Allah. So if I go back to the verse, this is the verse that we were reading here. ما كان على النبي من حرج فيما فرض الله له سنة الله. Okay, this is what we're looking at. فرض الله له سنة الله. If we come back here and we say, see, that's فرض الله له, right? سنة الله. That's what we just read. It's right there. But notice the difference. So we have I can't put them side by side. There's farada, which can't be anything other than that. And there's no dot. And when we come back to here, we see farada right there. I think I'm going to have to do this. I can't remember which verse. Surah 39. Okay, 39. We'll go to 39 and it's the verse before it. الذين خلوا من قبلكم ما كان سنة الله. So that's the word. So this first word, farada, here is shown right there. Farada. And then we have Allah. Notice how the alif here is by itself, and then loss is like there's a big distance. And you could separate it back in the day. Nowadays, they will never separate it. This lam and alif will always come together. So that's Allahu. Faradallahu lahu. But here, when we go back to this, there's no lahu. Faradallahu lahu. We don't, and even actually technically, here we say faradallah, right? So we're connecting it. Dallah. But back in the day, they did not do that. Farad Allah. They would say it as it is. Farad Allahu lahu. Right? Now we have sunnah. The word sunnah akhi. Sunnah. It's right here. Sunnah. Now notice we have the dot here, and there's two diacritics for this noon here, right? In this text, you can barely see the noon. That's it. And that's sunnah, but it's read as sunnatah. Sunnat Allah. But when we read it nowadays, we don't use these two dots are useless technically. They don't do anything for us. But if we're going to stop here, we'd say sunnatah. Sunnat Allah. Sorry. If we stop at the end, then it's useless. The dots are not there. Sunnah. But because we're talking sunnat Allah, it's like the word Mecca, for example. I'm saying Mecca because there's nothing. If I say Mecca al Mukarrama, then I say the ta. It's It's pretty interesting. So Sunnat Allah again, and now Sunnat Allahu fi. Look how like decorative this fi was, but it's just so that because of the text before them. So this word right here, let's share this tab one more time. Sunnat Allahu fi. So you see the fi, and look at how it looks there. It just looks different, like super different. It's this part right here. And then yeah, we broke it. Al-Lavin. So we go Al, and we go to the new line. Lavina Khalu. You know, so remember this. So we have this La, the, Ya, Nun, Khalu. Min. Khalu, Khalu right here. Khalu, Min, Qabl. Bro, like this is Ladina Khalu min Qabl. What you're seeing from this side here, all the way to here, you could find it right here. الذين خلوا من قبل. See how much things have been made easy for you? So that reading, what you're saying, what your people are talking about the reading, is people had different styles of reading this text. Because this text is that's how it came. But this is another proof that the Quran, it's not about these dots and diacritics, because the message does not change even with the different readings, where the word seems now it's like a little different, but it still gives you the exact same remembrance. It's nuts. But the problem, what they're trying to do is trying to tell you, what they're trying to say, what they're trying to tell you is that oh, the Quran is preserved. God says he's preserving the remembrance. Okay, so the remembrance is what's preserved, and the Quran is preserved as consonantal text. Go read it. See how good you could read it. And the person who is really pure, who is really trying to put the effort in, and he's looking at the verses and the whole scope of the Quran, he can identify which reading is more in tune to what God is saying than what isn't. And these discrepancies are for the people who really want to dive deep. So washing your feet or wiping your feet, if the command is wiping, then washing is wiping your feet. But if you look at the verse, it makes more sense for it to be wiped because you're using your reason. But is it wrong to say that the person at that point is saying to wash their feet? No, it isn't. But you have to be consistent with the rest of the verse and the rest of the Quran. And with that take, then you understand that it's wiping and not washing. Simple, but it makes it so beautiful. I'm sorry, like these. Yes, we do dump on a lot of like Sunnis and whatnot, but they like the people who worked with the Quran, not the Hadith and the other stuff. The people who worked on the Quran truly made our life a little easier. Like reading the text for me as an Arabic speaker like this, okay, it's a lot more than what Jazeera gives you. You know, it's a lot more than what people present to you nowadays. So the individuals that did put a lot of effort in trying to see which reading is the best, they gave us Hafs. And Hafs's rendition is very, very good, right? It's very good, Hafs's rendition. But if somebody puts the amount of work in the same time and the same dedication, they could get to something extremely close to this almost every single time, because of somebody being honest to themselves and what the Quran states. So if I didn't know the Quran to the level that I did, and I see this text, if I start to study the text often and I read it a lot and I start to dwell in it, then I would be able to reach something that is as similar as Hafs. But people have made it easy for you. They just give you the Hafs. That's truly it. And then they say, no, that this is what the Prophet authored and the Prophet read with 500 different permutations. Makes absolutely no sense. Because there's another point, which this is where they hide from you. Okay, we have something called the Old Hijazi Arabic. Okay, this is the Old Hijazi Arabic. The Hijazi Arabic nowadays is the same as like the same Arabic you find everywhere. Okay, the classical Arabic, what we call it. But Old Hijazi Arabic, right? It's right here. Look at when it stopped. Okay, look at when the Hijazi. This Old Hijazi. Okay, so this is, look, it looks like the Quran, doesn't it? Because it is the Quran. And it's called Qurayshi Arabic or Old Hijazi Arabic. It stopped in the 7th century. People stopped using this style in the 7th century. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, you can see you're asking me how old is the Hijazi language. It was from the 1st century to the 7th century. Okay, and that's truly what the Quran came in. Now, a lot of this language, because of people looking into it, they've realized there's the way that they would speak it is much different than how we would speak in the Arabic. Okay, so these, for example, they give you based on from the Quran itself. I'll show you. I think it's somewhere here where they give you. I thought it would here. Let me see it. Da 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 na na na. I remember seeing something. Oh, it's right there. Okay, so this is it. So this is showing you how people would have read this. And nowadays, the Quran, how people would read it in Old Hijazi and today, Hafs, right? So we would say, for example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is what we would say, right? They would say, Bism, Allah, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim. Taha, ma anzalna alayka al-Quran litashqa. So each word is taking its tajweed, literally, okay? It's taking its actual, like that you know when God says warattil al-Quran tartila, this is truly how you would do that tartil at this point, like word by word, letter by letter. So ma anzalna alayka al-Quran litashqa, all Hijazi. But in our ma anzalna alayka al-Quran litashqa, so there's like a lot of connections and a lot of like merging and whatnot. Okay, illa tadhkuratan liman yakhshi. But we say illa tadhkuratan liman yakhsha. So they've been able to deduce from a lot of material that they had that the way that it was read, it would be different. Okay, so they tell you the difference in phonetics. They also show you that they're like the actual the mid hamza, which we call the glutal stop, did not exist. Yeah, so for example here, right here, right, we say as lahu al-asma'ul husna. So you say asma'u, and that glutal stop is shown to you right here with this little like quotation. But here it says asma al-husna, al-husni. So that's the thing where people don't get that the Quran in the dialect, the original dialect, is not what they use today. So the readings is because they've moved away from the dialect. And they've had many readings that they had to sit there and tell people, oh, the Prophet read it in dialects that he was not aware of. Like these 7 diacritics and 7 marks and 7 readings is what the Prophet was teaching the people. Yet it's coming from, most of it was coming from like from the extreme north or North Africa. It's like because when North Africans got it, they when North Africans got the Quran, their accent was extremely different than the Hijazi dialect. And it's much different than what they used to say in the Levant, which was the majority of where the Muslims came after the Prophet in the 7th century. That's why this dialect literally went extinct. Okay, so this dialect, the old Hijazi dialect, what made it extinct is the Levant taking over Medina. Okay, the Syrians, the Lebanese, the Palestinians, the Jordanians, they started to take over Medina and Mecca. So their Arabic started to become more prominent, and the Hijazi dialect slowly started to die out. And then they were reading the Quran differently than what the people in the desert were reading it. Because guess what? Up there, their language was a little bit more sophisticated. It's very simple. If you look at the history, the children of Israel got a hold of it. The Arab children of Israel got a hold of the Quran, went back down and literally retaught it to them in a sense. Okay. And that's where you start to get the people who are evil with the hadith of Abu Huraira telling you about the stories of Moses and whatnot, which is found in the Torah. And that's when you start to get the corruption, is when it went back up and then went back down. And that's when the time when Malik started to come up and everybody. Guys, when you truly look at what they tell you compared to what they find, it all makes complete sense on why we have the corruptions today. You see what I'm saying? They literally killed the dialect of the Quran, and then they said that the Prophet was speaking the dialects of people he has yet to meet. Like the word zirat, for example. Okay, you have like the readings of Warsh. The majority of it is African based. It's got nothing to do with the Hijazi dialect. And you could see now why the Quran was written the way that it was written. It wasn't written with the Arabic that they see in the Levant, because it was old Hijazi. It's beautiful when you look at this history. It shows you how much, like, for the book to be preserved throughout all this history speaks volume on its own. And the academics in the Western world who look into it will tell you this. Because of how the language evolved, yet the book itself stayed preserved, it's mind-boggling. Because nothing else survived. Do you understand that? Nothing else survived the way that the Quran survived. Because the dialect got extinct. Okay? The wording started to change. The grammar was being established. And the thing is, the Quran didn't adhere to it. The Quran pushed to it. And when it got to that pushed, it extinct what's before it. And the Quran stayed the same. And everything else that was written was no longer legible pretty much within 100 years. People forgot it. That's why you don't have Hadith for the first 100 years, guys. It's extremely easy to understand what happened. But to tell this to a Sunni is like, no, bro. The Prophet said there's 7 ahruf. You know what I'm saying? And then now I have like Quran alone guys saying, no, the Prophet was given hafs, and God said that he's preserving hafs. No, brother, it's not possible, because the way that hafs read it was not possible for it to be read back then, especially to the Prophet. Like, man, it's beautiful when you look at it, guys. It truly is. That's how I see it, and the proof is in the pudding. Yeah, so I hope that helped some people. Yeah, old Hijazi, the Quranic consonantal text, right? So it shows you exactly on how it's being like shown to you, the QCT, right? To the like the evolution of it. Like I'm telling you guys, if you look into this and you read into this, you would understand truly why they have these recitations. Guys, I had a book. I'm telling when I showed it to the other guy, I made an error with one of the readings. I don't care. Like, this is not why I'm here for. But they have non-canonical readings. Okay, they have readings from Ibn Abbas, from Ali. Okay, I'll show you a reading. I'll show you a reading that will make you truly like question certain things. Okay. I'm going to show you something where they love to say this is a miracle from the Prophet. Yeah, it's the complete opposite. Okay, let's go to a verse. This is in chapter 30. 30, verse 2. Let's go 30, verse 2. And then we're going to read what the different recitations are for this verse. This verse here, it's telling you a different history. Because I know how the Quran alone community, the history, this verse proves your point, but you guys don't know it because you don't allow the Quran to teach you. So watch this, okay? So we're gonna go. Okay, Shu'aib's translation is a little different here as well. So here it says غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. Okay, it says غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. The Romans have been defeated. Okay. في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون. In the nearest land, but after their defeat, they will overcome. Okay. في بضع سنين لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد ويومئذ يفرح المؤمنون. In several years, to God belongs the command before there. And on that day, the believers will rejoice. Do you know this verse right here? غُلِبَتِ الرُّوم. The Romans have been defeated, okay? Or the Romans will be defeated. Let's say the Romans have been defeated, okay? I'm going to show you what the other readings say. And this will truly change your perspective. It doesn't say the Romans will be defeated. It said the Romans are victorious. غَلَبَتِ الرُّوم. It's not the Romans have been defeated. The Romans were victorious. غَلَبَتِ الرُّوم في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون. In the nearest land, and after their victory, they will be defeated. Do you know one of the first times this the prophets community sent a messenger to the Romans? They killed the messenger. The guy that they sent to invite them to Islam, they killed him. And the prophet sent an army to the Romans, right? The army was defeated. It is the only defeat of Khalid ibn Walid, as the historians say, one of the strongest generals in the world. He was defeated in that battle. They made a tactical retreat and they left. And guess what? After 5 to 9 years, they beat them. They beat the Romans. Their first battle against the Romans, they beat them. And why the Romans, who are mushriks, the Romans are polytheists, idolaters. They believe Jesus is the Son of God. Okay? They cause a lot of corruptions. Why, when the Romans are going to be victorious, that the believers will rejoice? Why is the victory of pagans going to be a rejoice for believers? But if you read it the other way, where it says the Romans are victorious in the nearest land, but after their victory, they will be defeated in several years. To God belongs the command and before, and on that day the believers will rejoice. When the Romans got defeated, would not the believers rejoice? I'm waiting for you guys to tell me. The battle I'm talking about is called Battle of Mutta, I think it is. Me and my brother Musa, we went and we seen it and we looked at it. We have a recording I haven't put out for a specific reason, but it's the same time we went to the cave, the collector or the sleepers of the cave. But I want to show you how I'm not talking from my own. Quran. There it is. And this is verse 2. 30 verse 2. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put it. So this is the things with the readings. This can be read as the Romans have been defeated or the Romans were victorious. And guess what? Both stories, they're aligned. Yes, there is where the Romans got defeated by the Persians, and on the day the Persians, and at the same time the Muslims made a conquer in that time. So that first narrative is true. It's a proper remembrance. The other narrative is also true, but it's closer to the believers. The fact that they truly went and sent a messenger to the Romans, they had a war with the Romans, they lost the first war, came back and slapped them around. And it's the person that got defeated in the first war, which is Khalid bin Walid, he's the one who defeated them years later. Isn't that crazy? And they hide this stuff from you because oh no, it's inconsistent. It's the Quran is not preserved. It's beautiful. It's literally telling you both moments at the same time. All right, so here it is. So this is the verse that we're talking about, the different readings. Okay. Okay, so when we're talking about these white readings are non-canonical readings. The green readings are the canonical readings. I think I'm on the wrong verse. 2. Verse 2. Okay, there it is. So remember, guys, the white is the non-canonical, and the green is the canonical. So here we have Ali bin Abi Talib. Okay, they put this to Ali ibn Abi Talib. They put this to Ibn Umar. They're literally saying their prophet. Okay? Peace, Marqas. Ghalabati. It's not Ghulibati, it's Ghalabati, which means the Romans were victorious. It's not the Romans were defeated. And here, Ghalabati, 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 Ghulibati, Ghalabati, Ghalabati, Ghalabati. All the non-canonicals, the majority of them are saying that it's defeated or victorious. See, but guess what? Here, politically, this sounds better to them because they had a problem with what? The Persians. Yes, I will put you the link. Thank you, sister. That's the website that I'm using, okay? This website, I love this website. It's made by you could see at the it's like by the German universities that collected all the manuscripts, collected all the variant readings. They give you the actual like I have these books, by the way. So Mukhtasar, for example, they tell you Ibn Kathir, even like these are the. I just don't know why it's so zoomed in. I have to zoom it in for you guys to be. Actually, you know what? You guys don't need to see my my face that much. So, Papa, let me see if I can do this here. Ibn Wahhab, right? Al-Farra, Farah, I think. Al-Farra. Al-Tabari. So, he has Al-Tabari, Ibn Umar as Ghalabati. You have Al-Nahas, I believe, here. This is Al-Mukhtasar, is the one that I really like. This one has the really cool, like, non-canonical ones. So, he has Ali ibn Talib there, for example, and a few of them. Again, Mukhtasar, you have Ibn Umar, the Prophet, and Ali ibn Talib. Abi Talib. Bin Abi Talib. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the stuff. No, this is not true. That makes no sense. They just like to make Friday important because that's when they go to their prayers. But I want to show you something. So just so you know about Friday, okay? Where is it? Pre-Islamic Arabian calendar. I don't know. History is saying about 23 years. I don't know. It's not a question that I truly care about. Oh man, I've been a whole hour after the fact. But what I was trying to show you is the names of the week, names of the days of the week. Sorry. So let's see if it's here. Nasi, that's Nasi. There it is. So here's Friday, or Al-Jam'ah. Used to be called Al-Uruba. After Islam, they called it Al-Jum'ah, which means the congregation. So it's got nothing to do with Jum'ah being important. That's just the day that they opted to use for their congregation. And that's why they started called Jum'ah. And then you have literally Al-Ahad is the first, Al-Ithnain is the second, Thalatha is the third, Al-Arba'a, fourth, Khamis, Jum'ah, which is the congregation, and then Sabbath, Sabt, which Sabt sounds like Sabah almost, but it isn't. Please, website that's on, you just go to Wikipedia. The Wikipedia is talking about Old Hijazi. This is Wikipedia. Okay. But you could just Google Old Hijazi Arabic. There's so much material for you to read about. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just portions of how you can appreciate what God has been giving us here. So, why did God give special permission to Muhammad? And I don't know, what do you mean special permission? And he was given a special position, but there's no special permission. He has authority, but I don't know what you mean. Your question there does not make sense. I apologize. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I have actually overstayed my whole hour. I did have some commitments I needed to fulfill. I hope you guys I hope you guys are well. God bless you. Thank you very much for coming. No, we don't know what day Adam was created on. Makes no sense. All right. Peace, guys, everybody. Peace, 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 peace. Salam. Man. See ya, bro. I may be on top of you, too, dude. May be on top of you. Me is Ice Cube wannabe. Peace.